Hey, good morning, guys. It is April 3rd, and Chambers is teaching out of Luke 19. It's an interesting passage because right in the middle of the triumphal entry, this is leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus, and he's entering Jerusalem, and all of his disciples and followers are there cheering him on and saying, Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. And the Pharisees say to him, Are you going to correct them? And he says, If they keep quiet, the stones will cry out. And then there's this real, and so he's basically rebuking the Pharisees because they're challenging this notion that he's more than just a rabbi, just more than just a teacher. They actually call him teacher. And so, and they, because they're all the followers are calling him a king. And then he has this really strange, not strange, but kind of it seems to be out of place. This vision, um, and he sees, and he ends up crying. So this is one thing that we actually, a picture of the triumphal entry we rarely focus on, which is Jesus seeing Jerusalem surrounded and being decimated by its enemies, and he kind of he gives this little snapshot of it, and then he moves on um, to enter into their to all their cries um, of jubilation. And so Chambers takes this opportunity to kind of tell us what's happening in the midst of all of this reverence for Jesus. There's this strange God, as Chambers says, kind of at play. It's this Pharisaical, um, uh, I don't even know what he says. It's the religion that kind of lies underneath the surface. This At the surface, you see all the excitement of Jesus coming in, but then, and I've always wondered this. This is an interesting thing. I always wondered how in less than a week are they crucifying him, and those people that were there at the triumphal entry are either not supporting him and have gone away, or they're yelling, crucify him. And so how does that flip so quickly? And Chambers is saying that there's some underlying strange God here that hasn't been weeded out. And then he takes it a little different way, but um, it's he talks about when God deals with us, and in this time that God says to the people of Jerusalem, if you only knew what's going to happen, you would maybe take a different course. You would change your hearts. If you could see the future, if you could see the fact that Jerusalem's going to fall. Um, Chambers says it's an appalling thing here in the second paragraph. It's an appalling thing that we can be in the place where the Spirit of God should be getting at us unhinderedly, and yet increase our condemnation in God's sight. And what he's saying is there's these times where God reveals something to us, and just like Jesus reveals to us here, be careful because, reveals to the people of Jerusalem, be careful because there's something at play here that's going to destroy your city, and they don't take heed to it. And sometimes God brings us to this revelation or this realization that there's something in your life that's going to destroy you, um, and and He reveals it to you in a moment. And what Chambers is saying is that we can get to that moment, and we can turn and not make a decision to weed it out, that strange God, to weed it out. And um and then later down in this next paragraph, God holds us responsible for what we do not see. So he holds us responsible for the things that he has kind of given us a little bit of an inkling. Hey, beware, there's something down that path that's going to become a strange god, that's going to hinder your walk, that's going to take you down. You're going through a door right now that is going to be contrary to where God would take you. And then it's almost discouraging here, because he says, Chambers says, God never opens doors that have been closed. God gives us an opportunity to walk through the correct door, and we end up taking a wrong turn. He doesn't take us back to that same door. We can never go back and open the door that God had opened for us. He never opens the doors that have been closed. He opens other doors, but he reminds us that there are doors which we have shut, doors which need never have been shut. Um, and so this is a reminder to me, and I know this is a little bit all over the place, and so forgive me for that. But it's a reminder to me that there are times when God deals with my heart, even if it's in strange little visions or strange little um, inclinations that wait, I need to really make sure that I'm steering in the right direction here, that I'm listening to God's voice, and I avoid that, or I ignore it, or I just kind of snuff it out. Um, I can't go back there. God's gonna have to catch me at a later point. And while He can use that reminder of the time where I went wrong or I turned the wrong direction to make sure that the next time He catches me and says, "Hey, listen," um, I can use that reminder to say, I avoided or I ignored God's instruction before. I really want to make sure I don't do it now." And then he ends with this note of encouragement. If there's been no encouragement so far, God will turn the might have been into a wonderful culture for the future. And what it is for Jerusalem is, so Jesus has sees this bleak future for Jerusalem, but then he knows the future after that. And so what Jerusalem then looks back to and um, says, "Wow, let's never do that again. Let's never stifle the work of God because it took us down a road of judgment." Um, in the future, one day Jerusalem will receive her king and say, "Okay, let's look at the past and learn from that, and not stifle the work of God." And so we need to do the same thing when God gives us those kind of insights, um, and we ignore them. We need to look back on them and say, "Okay, I ignored it in the past, and it turned into destruction, and I need to make sure that I use this next opportunity to go the right direction." I have no idea, and I know this went long. It went a lot deeper than what I was expecting it to. And if it was all over the place and you didn't get anything from that, that's okay. I appreciate you listening. But if it gave you some encouragement, then it was time well spent. You guys have a great day.